Welcome to Life After Corporate, your ultimate guide for making the leap from corporate leader to entrepreneur. I'm Deb Boulanger, entrepreneur, executive leader, and founder of the Launch Lab for Women Entrepreneurs. This is your time to break through the glass ceiling once and for all and get your ticket to the C-suite. Come back each week to get the leading strategies, advice, and tools that will give you the skills and confidence you need to replace your corporate paycheck. Are you ready? Let's go. Episode 22. Are you launching responsibly? Are you launching your business responsibly? Just like you should drink responsibly and not drink and drive, you also should launch responsibly and take care that you don't accidentally run through your savings before you start getting traction in your business. If you launch your business without a clear path to how you will replace your income immediately, and I mean a very clear, proven action plan where you have proof that the actions you're taking are going to result in replacing your income, then you're launching irresponsibly and you're putting yourself and your business and maybe even others in your life at risk. Welcome back to another episode of Life After Corporate, my friend. And if you're listening for the very first time, welcome home. This episode is brought to you by The Great Do-Over, where corporate women get a second chance at being a success in a different way by becoming their own CEO. The show is also brought to you by the Launch Lab for Women Entrepreneurs. The Launch Lab is where you and I work side by side on your business launch, and we build out the right pieces of your successful services-based business before you burn through your savings. And that, my friend, is what launching responsibly is all about. And before we dive deep into our topic today, I wanted to thank a few people. I'm so grateful for all your comments and the reviews. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. And today I wanted to give a special shout out to my friend, Amy Voderick. Amy is the host of the Insight Edge with Amy Voderick podcast. And she's just such a brilliant leadership coach. And her insights are just counterintuitive. I always learn something every time I tune in. So seek out Amy and Insight Edge with Amy. Each time I listen in, I learn relevant and easy to apply next actions that I can take to grow my business. So I'm a big fan of yours too, Amy, and thank you for taking the time to leave a review. And if you love the show, please take a minute to let me know by leaving me a review. It really does help others like you discover the show, and it would help me reach my goal of 12,000 downloads by the end of this year. And I know that might be kind of a modest goal because of the show. It really is taking on and growing very quickly. It's like doubling month over month. So I'm grateful for that as well. And grateful for the people that I've actually met for the very first time through this show. So it's not uncommon where someone will listen to the show, will get connected somehow in social media, there'll be a conversation, and suddenly we're having there'll be some messaging back and forth. And then we find ourselves having a conversation. And there's always that moment of, I really love your podcast. And thank you so much. It really does mean so much to me. There's a lot of, when you put your voice out there for the first time, it can be a little vulnerable. So I love the validation. Thank you. It's the fuel that keeps me going, and today is no exception. So today I'm excited to share a new insight that literally came to me first thing in the morning. I don't know if this happens to you, but I love it when this happens, and I crave for it when it doesn't. First thing in the morning, it's like I'm getting this download from the universe, and I'm lying in bed and it's nice and cold in my room, and it's really, really, really hot outside. And I hadn't even opened my eyes, and I'm working through this spreadsheet calculation in my head. And what I'm helping you to do is reverse engineer your revenue goals. So when I talk to women who have just made the leap or are thinking about making the leap, 9 times out of 10, I'll hear them say, I'll say, what's your revenue goal? And they'll say, well, I want to replace my paycheck. So I get that completely. You don't want to discount the lifestyle that you've come to know and love. You likely have other people in your family who are also relying on you to bring in your share of the family pot. So you want to replace that income. And the problem is that most people start a business and it's a spray and pray, right? So let me get on stage. Let me, take some courses. Let me launch a course. Let me do a webinar. Let me do all the activities. Maybe it's create a lead funnel. Let me do all the trappings of having a business, build my website. And we've talked about that before, about how sometimes you can make fake progress doing things that you're just not ready for. When the most important thing for you to do right out of the gate is understand, where's the money coming from? Where's the money coming from? And what is that path to the cash? What are the actions that will actually get me to where I want to be financially? Because money is great. Money enables you to afford your lifestyle. It enables you to travel. Well, not in COVID, but once we're out of this pandemic, enables you to travel, do things that you love, buy things. I know I'm super excited to receive a new outdoor sofa that I'm going to put under the pergola, and I'm going to hang out there before summer's over. I promised myself I'm taking a vacation. One thing I miss about the corporate paycheck is I also miss the paid vacations, remember? And I love the Swedes and the people in the Nordics. In episode 21, I interviewed my colleague, Tina Wieland, about her business, and she helps organizations scale. So if you miss that, go back and catch that one, because that's really about re-engineering your business model to scale. But if you're earlier stage than that, if you're just getting started, then you're exactly where you need to be. So let's talk about the money, right? So what is the path to the cash? How will you earn that revenue back? So I started doing this formula in my head before I got out of bed. And I told my partner, I was like, I need to go into my office. I'm going to get a cup of coffee, but I need to build this thing right now. And I built this revenue model for you. So it's super simple. You input your revenue goal, and then you need to have a little bit of clarity around what are you offering, right? So this is a bigger conversation about product, what I call product architecture. And when I talk about product architecture, I'm really talking about packaging your services as products. But a product architecture to me is, there's varying levels in your building, right? So there's the basement, there's first floor, second floor, maybe third floor. So that is what a product architecture looks like from a pricing perspective, from a pricing and value equation. So I usually recommend that my clients start at the middle out. So it's like you start at the first floor, then you work your way up, or you start, well, this wouldn't work if you were building a house, but you start with your high-end offer and then you work your way down. So there's a space in the the reverse engineer calculator that says, what are your products? And this is a modeling tool. So you don't have to have it set in stone, but it's very useful to see if I had a program that was worth, $7,000 or $10,000, or if I'm selling something to corporations and the value of that is $20,000, then how many clients would I need in order to reach that revenue goal? So that's one of the outputs of this tool, is it tells you how many clients you need to reach that goal. But it also enables you to decide, how much of my marketing effort do I want to put behind one product versus another, right? So do I want to spend 50% of my time on my high-end offers, or do I only want to work closely one-on-one with people for a small percentage of my time? And for the most part, I want to get my revenue through my leveraged offerings, through my core offerings. So a leveraged offering is something that you create once and you sell to many people. So it's like you make this great meal for dinner in the evening and you make extras so that you can have leftovers for the next day and the next day and maybe even the next day, or you freeze some for later, right? So if you're going through all that effort to create a delicious meal, you want to eat it many times. So anyway, I digress. I must be hungry. So creating one thing that is a wash, rinse, repeat. And whether that's a workshop, a course, a group program that you deliver one to many, whatever that is, that's a core offer. And that's a great place to start. And I know many new coaches, consultants, when they're first getting started, there's a little bit of insecurity. You're used to being part of this corporate or this company security blanket where all you had to do was show up and finish, work on your goals, collaborate with your colleagues, and you got paid every 2 weeks. And there was a security net there. And now that security net isn't there right now. So it's important that you launch responsibly by understanding where the money is coming from. So if you just build it and you build a website and you have this revenue goal in your mind and you start doing all these other activities and praying that one of them will work, that's launching irresponsibly. We want to have absolute clarity on where the money is coming from and the path to getting there. So this very cool revenue calculator, which I hope to get in your hands soon. And my marketing strategist is going to be angry at me. She was like, Deb, don't launch this. Don't mention this right now. Let's announce it with a big splash and everybody will grab for it because it's such a valuable tool. And it will be, trust me, it will be such a valuable tool. And I can't wait to hear what you think about it. Right now, I have my clients in the Launch Lab testing it out. I want to make sure that it's clear and that it's logical. People understand how to use it before I actually release it to you. But so we want to know how you're going to get there. And one of the other things we measure, especially in the early days of your business, but you know what, truthfully, throughout your entire entrepreneurial journey is your close ratio or the close rate. Even if you have people selling for you, their close ratio, because what we want clarity on is how many prospects do you need to be reaching in your marketing in order for you to reach your revenue goal. So you take your revenue goal, take your products and the price point for each of those products, and you hit return. And you enter in the percentage of revenue that you want from each of your service offerings, and you hit return, and it will tell you the number of clients you need by service offering. The next thing we do, which is something that I added in today because I thought, well, this is only somewhat useful because it tells you how many clients you need, but it doesn't tell you how many prospects you need to reach in your marketing. So I added some variables about close ratios, and you can edit the close ratios if you need to. So if you're selling and you're selling through conversation, then typically your close ratio is 20%, 30%, 50% or higher. If you're doing this a long time, your close ratio should be 50% or higher. So typically I have to have 2 conversations to get a new client. And so that makes it easier on me if I'm enrolling people into the Launch Lab or enrolling people into some of my high-end programs. When I enroll people into standout webinars, I enroll them through a webinar. So that I'm not having conversations with people about. It's a lower end offering, and it's something that people can just watch the training, decide they want that thing, and enroll right there on the spot. But if you're joining the Launch Lab, it's my middle tier offering. It's a very reasonable investment, but people at that level typically want to have a conversation with you about it. So how many conversations would you need to have? So I entered in those variables too. If your close ratio is 20% or 30% or 50%, how many prospects would you need to reach? And then the question is that reasonable? Can I responsibly and logically actually reach that many people in a year? Because even though you have this big desire and this vision for making an impact through your work and reaching hundreds, maybe even thousands of people, until you build up your marketing engine where it's really humming. And that's where we're going here, by the way, in Life After Corporate. I am taking you on a journey, and your business will be humming pretty soon. But when you're first getting started, you're just getting known and being seen and heard and developing a following. So is that a reasonable number? So if you're following along here, you can do it on a scrap of paper if you want to. You just take your revenue goal and divide it by the average price of your core offering and see how many clients you would need to close into your core offering into a single year in order to reach that number. And then you just multiply that number of clients that you would need to enroll in that year by whatever your close rate is. So if you're closing 20%, 1 out of 5 conversations, you would have to multiply that number by 5. And that tells you, well, that's how many conversations I need to have with people in a year in order to reach my revenue goal. And if you divide that by 12 months out of the year, or maybe even 11 months out of the year would be a little bit more reasonable. We want to build in time off for you so you're not working 24/7, 7 days a week, 12 months a year. So, that's how you get there. So that's launching responsibly. Launching responsibly is having a clear sight, a clear view onto your business launch and how you're going to get there. And if that's not a reasonable number, well, just like, if it's not a reasonable number of drinks that you've had, maybe you shouldn't be drinking and driving. Maybe you shouldn't be launching. Or maybe you shouldn't be launching that program. And in that case, we need to have a conversation, my friend, because it's a matter of pivoting, like we talked about in episode 20, either changing the ideal client you're selling to, changing up your offer. What is it you're offering? Maybe your value proposition needs to be enhanced or magnified in order for you to command a higher price point, or maybe you are not aligned with your value. And that's another fascinating conversation that we had in the Launch Lab last week about how you align to your value. And a lot of it is how you're thinking about who you are right now and the value that you offer your clients. So that's it for now, my friend. I really hope you got some value out of this conversation today. I'd love to hear from you. Please leave us a review if you got some insight out of this conversation, because there should be no mystery in your business. There needs to be absolute clarity on where you're going so that you can prioritize your time around your money. Where the money flows, your time goes. You want to focus your energy and attention on actions that generate real revenue. That's how you replace your paycheck without burning through your savings. And that's how you launch responsibly. So if you found value in this conversation today, you would really love the Launch Lab. It's where we have smart conversations like this one that demystify success and break it down into simple steps that are easy to follow. And if that sounds like you, then do join us. Go to thegreatdoover.com/launch-lab and apply now. Doors close to our summer session on August 15th, and I'll put that link in the show notes for sure, but don't wait to apply. Even if you don't join the Launch Lab for this round, you will get clear insight into where to set your focus for setting up your business for growth. And who doesn't want that, right? And if you want that, go to thegreatdoover.com/launch-lab now and apply. And if we think it's a good fit, someone on my team will reach out to you and you and I will have a conversation. And wouldn't that be fun? So that's it for today, my friend. Till next time. Thanks for listening, my friend. If you enjoyed this show, please head over to iTunes and subscribe and leave us a review. And be sure to hop over to the Life After Corporate Facebook group and join other growing entrepreneurs to get weekly tips on how to create more money and meaning doing work you love.